The culmination of your design work comes at the assembly level. It's here that you can assess fit and function, identify interferences, and then use the model downstream to create renderings, simulate how your product will perform, develop documentation, and plan manufacturing processes. But first, you need to put it all together. Just like in the part modeling environment, a marking menu is available that contains a complete list of your most commonly used assembly commands right at your cursor, such as placing components and adding constraints. Once a component is placed, assembling parts together works much in the same way as you would do it in the real world. Using joints, you can fully define the location and motion between two components in a single step, rather than specifying constraints one by one. Joint types are determined automatically based on the geometry you select, and all degrees of freedom are accounted for once the command is executed. Relationships can also be added using traditional constraints, which gives you a finer level of control over how the assembly behaves. Adding limits to a constraint specifies exactly how components can move, so you can perform motion studies to evaluate how mechanisms will operate in relation to other features of the product. Because it's rare that an entire product is composed of parts or subassemblies that are designed in-house, Autodesk Inventor supports opening and inserting third-party models directly into your assemblies. These models can be constrained exactly the same way you would a native Inventor model, and they can even be patterned when multiple instances of the component are needed. And because there is an associative link to the original file, if that file changes, then it will be automatically updated inside the assembly without having to go back and reapply all your constraints. One final source of parts is the Content Center. 750,000 parts covering 18 international standards. It's like taking a trip to a perfectly stocked hardware store. Many components from the Content Center have intelligent mates built in, so constraints are created as you drop them into the design. They can also be resized dynamically in the window, and existing patterns will be followed so components are created automatically at each appropriate location. Regardless of where your components come from or the approach you take to defining the relationships between them, Autodesk Inventor gives you the tools you need to put it all together in a perfect, complete model of your product.